A very well-known Smash player by the name of Mango has pretty much just destroyed their entire career and reputation by getting plastered at one of Ludwig's parties and dry humping a bunch of women. For those of you who don't know the competitive scene of Smash Brothers in its entirety, good. I envy you. But if you'd like a little bit of understanding, in case you didn't know, Smash Brothers, very big game series, starting from Nintendo 64 all the way up to Smash Ultimate, which was most recently released. We're talking about a player by the name of Mango, who is a professional Melee player. Now, Mango is pretty well known because he's a very good player and also drinks a lot. It's kind of been his shtick since he's been around. To give you an example, I looked up Mango drunk just so I could pull in some information for this video. And some of the top results are showing the drunken party animal who plays like a god, which is Mango from 5 years ago. Then also someone else commenting on the fact that they've had a drinking problem for a while. But the reason I even found out about this, or I'm talking about it now, is I was recently at VidCon. I got to meet a lot of cool creators. As you can tell, this is not my ordinary setup. And I was hanging out with a gentleman that goes by the name Technicals on YouTube. Personally, I've really enjoyed Technicals' content in the past. I've watched a lot of his videos. But while we were hanging out, he was talking about this Mango thing, and he actually made a tweet that went pretty viral. Now, this is his retweet with the caption here,
Nigga. Why?
And here's that clip.
See, we're not drunk, guys. Yeah, we're not drunk. But Mango, on the other hand, no. He's humping toes. No.
End the stream. End it.
End the stream, Mango said.
So yeah, not really looking good for the guy. He got really drunk and just started doing this. This is not the only clip I'm going to be showing you, but this is probably the one that went the most viral. But I want to draw your attention to something before I click off of this one specifically. Tech actually replied to someone that said, "I don't think bad things should happen to Mango for this, but plenty of people would get raked across the coals for the deeper crime of not being Mango." And then Technicals replied, "I mean, we need at least something. He sexually harassed these women on live stream." Now, like I showed you earlier, Mango has been notorious for his drinking and that being a bit of a problem for him. Now, there are people that were kind of like defending Mango in the sense of like, well, this was an expected behavior of him, or like what you saw in the tweet that I read. Some people are thinking that he shouldn't like face consequences for this, or at least to the extent, like that's, again, it's what that tweet said. And you can see it's got 840 likes on it here too. My leading theory is some people in the Smash community who have known Mango for a long time kind of like expect this behavior with him, which might give reason to that, but I'm not really trying to dive into the weeds of what the Smash community thinks about it. Technicals is going to do a much better job of that if he ends up covering this. But like I said, this is just a sliver of it. And maybe if it was just a one-off thing, that would be a bit more excusable to a lot of people, but he kept doing it. In this other clip, this is him humping Extra Emily with his like a cardboard cutout of himself in between them.
Oh! Final words. Wait, should kids do drugs? Okay, all right.
Oh, Mango's so funny. Okay. I'll just end him with my child. I'll be you at karaoke.
All right, yeah.
Okay, bye.
Now again, I think some of this confusion with people being like, well, you know, I'm not sure about how to feel about this yet, is that like Extra Emily and a lot of these other streamers, content creators, which you're gonna see in more of the clips that I show you, are trying to play it off and just kind of keeping the streams going. There are a lot of people that are IRL streaming at that point, like Extra Emily and the other people around them, which again, you'll see shortly. So for them to have like an altercation, especially with someone who's being incredibly belligerent and very drunk, it could potentially lead to a situation where it ends up being a negative thing for the other people that are streaming, or even worse than that, if there ended up being like a physical altercation, that could have resulted in people getting banned. Not just the people involved, but if that fight were to get recorded by any of the other streamers, that could result in their channel getting banned. So it's a very serious issue, but I think that gives a bit more of an understanding as to why people weren't like grabbing him and trying to move him away in that sense, and just trying to be more like coercive about it and just try to get him to do it on his own. This, unfortunately, again, is Extra Emily. I kind of feel bad for her. She was the target for a lot of these clips that you're gonna see.
Trying to do play it down. You trying to do thug round or no? Man.
Mango's humping Emily.
I'm not.
That's okay. Okay, I'm ready to play.
Emily, get it. Really? Stop it.
You're doing great, Mango. Very impressive. Nice movement.
So I think it's pretty clear at this point, this is sexual harassment. Like, he keeps going to these women in particular, that being Extra Emily and Maya, and like humping the air next to their heads. It's weird. It should not have been happening. But I think to really drive the point home that I was talking about earlier, this is that clip with Ludwig attempting to keep Mango away from Emily. He keeps like running his hands through her hair and just being weird. And you can tell that she's not super comfortable with it. And Ludwig's just trying his best to get him to like go away on his own and trying to like, you know, persuade him away, and he just keeps coming back.
We're doing it here.
Here?
Well, apparently everyone's just trying to run it here because we got drinks and it's easy to set up.
I'm down. Hi, Mango.
What are you pulling her hair?
Mango, you're so
Beat this bitch
silly.
up. Don't beat her ass
You
up,
guys
bro.
are amazing.
I won't let him beat you up.
Thank you, Lud. That was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Hey,
Boink,
thank you for
boink,
competing.
boink. I did ask.
What's your final placing?
I got second in the worst cup.
In the silver cup?
Red shells.
That's not bad.
What the hell is that?
That's not bad. Was that
Right?
Borderlands sponsor actually good? Was
What?
that Borderlands sponsor good?
It was fun. I was loving it. I love Borderlands 4.
I love to hear that.
But this was the best day ever. 10-hour stream.
Woman's hair. It's voluminous.
Voluminous.
She only watched that shit once a month.
Yes, science.
Turns out we're staying here.
Okay,
We're gonna do karaoke on this TV over here.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. Okay, I'll end soon.
So you can see Ludwig is not a really big fan. He tries like twice there to try to just keep him away, and he keeps circling back and just making a point to go after those two gals in particular. Also, another really good point to be made here, you're not subscribed. We're like balls deep into this video at this point. Just consider it. But if not, if you could just consider dropping a like for this video, it just helps boost it in the algorithm. But that's it. I hope you enjoy the rest of this video. So these clips are coming out pretty much like live shortly after it's happening on this stream, and that turns into people reacting to those clips that are known in the community, particularly Ludwig as well. And then I also want to show you Mango's tweets between him being drunk and leading up to like just a few minutes ago. Now here was what Ludwig had to say the following day.
So I feel really bad about that. And, you know, I reached out to anyone who I felt might have felt uncomfortable and talked to them. But also, and I already told Mango this, I'm no longer inviting Mango to Mogul Moves events.
Now, of course, I think it was expected that Mango should not be allowed to return to events like this. Like, at the end of the day, I've seen some people arguing it's like, well, you should come to expect this with Mango. You should have prepped for this in some way. And at the end of the day, they're all grown-ass adults. It should not be their responsibility to be making sure that Mango is not going crazy and getting plastered. And also, you know, I haven't been keeping up with Mango's history of drinking other than I've been aware of it and I've heard about it in the past. How do you really plan for this specific thing to be happening? At the end of the day, it's up to Mango to continue drinking or not to get help if it's like truly a problem, if he's an alcoholic. From what I understand, he has a wife and kids. Like, at this point, you can't really be doing this stuff. There are consequences for your actions, and you know, your fame from being a very competent esports player with like the Smash community, it only gets you so far. And it was getting him further than he had any right to be. But now let's jump over to Mango's tweets over the last 2 days leading up to just a couple minutes ago. So to get things kicked off at this party, he had this eloquent post here where it says, "Fuck you." And we could take a look at some of the comments here, and people are already kind of prepping it. Doing that stuff around the boys is fine, but when girls are around, weird. Stop drinking, probably. Someone else here, bro's cooked when he wakes up. And other people calling it out and literally posting the clips under this post. But following after that and waking up, this was his next one here, saying, "Hate waking up and seeing I was a drunk dumbass. Don't like using the drunk excuse because it's childish, but in the moment I think everyone is as drunk as me, and that's usually not the case. I will privately apologize to anyone I made uncomfortable and hope I'm forgiven." Now this is something I wanted to touch on. There were people being like, you know, drunk actions or sober thoughts or something along the lines of him being inebriated is just showcasing that he would have done these things like behind closed doors or if given the opportunity. And that doesn't really make sense to me. Like, I've gotten really drunk and wanted to jump down like a 20-foot window well. I can't imagine, given any opportunity, I would try to do that sober. I don't think that's reflective of who I am sober, right? When you drink, you just start doing stupid stuff and you lose control and you black out and you start acting like a fool with absolutely no impulse control. Like, yeah, you are going to do dumb stuff, and it's up to you to manage that and make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't drink. And I think that excuse can only get you so far when it's been the excuse, or it's kind of been your brand, like Mangoes, for like since 2019, like since he's been in the scene, really. So even before that. So people weren't, you know, super stoked with this, but he keeps following up. He continues on with this post here right after. I feel very fucking stupid and embarrassed. I think like 99% of my problems always stem from drinking, so I'm gonna reevaluate my relationship with alcohol. I'm not downplaying anything. I know I'm dumb and know better. I will accept any consequences that come my way. Now, this part here, gonna reevaluate my relationship with alcohol. I don't know if he's being satirical, but I feel like if that's how you behave after drinking, maybe I don't know if that's a reevaluate the relationship. I feel like that's the cutoff of the toxic relationship. That's go to rehab, right? Because this is life-altering stuff. Like, this isn't just a, oops, I was at a friend's party, acted like an idiot, I apologize, move on. This was live. There are hundreds of thousands of people that watched this happen. That includes sponsors. That includes any other part of his life being a content creator. Also, if he's going to Melee events, well, this might put into question if it's okay for him to go to those if there's going to be alcohol served. Like, they can't just specifically target him out and make sure he doesn't. I can't imagine that they would go to those lengths outside of just banning him, or at least temporarily banning him with like a clause that he needs to get help. But he continues on later into the evening, or I think early morning today, saying, couldn't sleep, feel like I let so many people down, talked to a few friends, and just realized I have a problem. Everyone has coddled me for so long and kind of looked the other way when it came to my drinking. Don't want anyone to feel bad for me / defend me. Sorry to everyone I've let down or hurt. I know it just looks like I'm trying to save face, but I genuinely feel so awful about it. All I've done is reflect on my life and realized I'm a broken human. I'll try and redeem myself over time as I always do. Gonna stop drinking immediately and get it together. Sorry that I'm a fuck up, but I will and can be better. So I'm glad in that time frame he realized, yeah, no, the answer is to stop drinking, not just reevaluate the relationship. And it very well could be that he had way too many people, you know, being yes men around him, because he was a very popular player. I mean, he kind of still is today, but he is one of the best Melee players to touch the game. And in between every tournament win or placing that he's had, he's immediately followed that up by going to a party and getting plastered. So it's possible that people have been enabling him. I'm not, you know, really get into who's a good friend of Mango's and who isn't, and like who's allowing him to do this or enabling it, because that's a much more private conversation that realistically, there's no way that I could actually know the nuance of that and have something useful to say. But yeah, if he's been surrounded with people that are giving him drinks and they know that this is how he acts, but they just know that he likes it, yeah, maybe those aren't good friends. But this is the most recent. This is within the hour that I'm recording this. He posted this. C9 dropping me. Probably getting banned from tourneys. Fucking shit, man. No one to blame but myself, but man, never thought that I could hit this low. Probably won't hear from me for a while. I'm sorry, everyone. Wish I was better. I had it all and fucking tossed it in the trash can. And it's very clear that this is really where it's setting in. C9 is dropping him. That's his org that he works with. That's the esports team. Like he said, he's thinking he's probably going to get banned from tourneys, which honestly I would expect given what he was doing and how he was acting in this live stream. And I'm interested to hear what you guys think, because I think there's a bit of both sides to this, where he is, he could really be having this like shoot moment where, he shouldn't have been doing that. And even his first few tweets, you could chalk that up to waking up and knowing he did something bad, but not really knowing the extent of it. Bit of a tough sell, but I guess you could say something along those lines. But at the same time, he's watching his world crumble in front of him. His org is dropping him, which I'm sure is, working with him for sponsorships, getting him paid a great deal of what he's making now, and to have them out and also potentially lose the opportunity to play at tournaments. Those are two streams of revenue, as well as like collaborating with people, all this stuff that could like have a huge impact on his life and career. So is it I'm sorry, this is actually like he's kind of having a sobering realization that this is not okay, or is he sorry because he's dealing with the consequences of his actions? I'm led to believe it's probably the latter. I mean, he wasn't talking like this at the beginning of his tweets, and now he's actually freaking out about this. But again, curious to hear what you guys think. Now, for me personally, how this all plays out, I think it should be dependent on his actions going forward. Like if Mango goes to rehab and makes a concerted effort to actually, you know, stop drinking and stop getting himself into a position where he's going to do this, where he's literally just going around sexually harassing women, then yeah, it should be reevaluated in the future, but he needs to face the consequences of this. You don't just get to get away with behaving like this. It doesn't matter how popular you are, how, you know, fun of a guy you are most of the time. You don't get to do this shit and not face the consequences of that. As far as I'm concerned, this is comeuppance. This is, you know, reap what you sow, regardless of how well you remember it. This is the consequences of your actions. But that's it for the video today. Returning to my setup very shortly, and I'll see you guys later. Adios, peace, bye.